Hello, everyone, from wherever you're tuning in. If you just happen to land here or if you came here intentionally, you are now in Let's Talk News. And I'm your host, Leticia Romero. And this is Wednesday, April 29th. And it's so good to have you here. We've got a lot to talk about. And it's all about Congress and the midterms and gerrymandering and the Voting Rights Act. Did you see that the Supreme Court handed down a decision today that is going to change redistricting from here on out? It's just an amazing thing. And of course, already the Democrats are crying foul. Of course, already, suddenly, because the Republicans are in control of the Supreme Court, or the Republican appointees are in control of the Supreme Court. All of a sudden, with this one decision, that whole Supreme Court is no good anymore. Doesn't matter that the Supreme Court handed down quite a few decisions that did not favor the president or the Republicans, and that the Republican appointees in the past have voted with the Democrat appointees. Doesn't matter. Today, according to Democrats in Congress, the Supreme Court lost their credibility today, only today. And they are now politicizing the process. Why would they say such things, these Democrats? Because they're terrified. So, what happened? I'll tell you. So the Voting Rights Act, and let me say, Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 prohibits voting practices or procedures that discriminate on the basis of race, color, or membership in one of the language minority groups identified in Section 4F2 of the Act. Most of the cases arising under Section 2 since its enactment involved challenges to at-large election schemes, but the section's prohibition against discrimination in voting applies nationwide to any voting standard, practice, or procedure that results in the denial or abridgment of the right of any citizen to, and I want you to listen carefully, the right of any citizen to vote on account of race, color, or membership in a language minority group. Okay, you got that. That prohibits, I'm going to say it again, that prohibits a citizen, prohibits the right, of any citizen to vote on account of race, color, or membership in a language minority group. Section 2 is permanent and has no expiration date, as do certain other provisions of the Voting Rights Act. So you understand that the Voting Rights Act focuses on the right to vote. Period. End of situation. In other words, you can't have a poll tax. You can't charge some groups to vote. You can't make it easier to vote in white neighborhoods than in black neighborhoods or in Hispanic neighborhoods, right? You can't make it difficult you can't treat one segment of voter different than another segment of voter based on the skin color, their language, etc. Do we all understand that? Oh, let me say hello first, and then I can see if you're answering or not. Hi, Kevin Wall, from the other side of the world, same side of the issues. Hi, Josephine Nastasi, my mom. Good to have you. Hi, Angela Ricca. Yes, I did on a couple of channels. Awesome. Okay. Hi, Francine. Good to have you. He's referring to, did he see that what SCOTUS did? Oh, thank you, Mom. This is called In a Hurry, Plant Some Plants with Julie outside and do something with your hair. So this is it. And it's the blue light that helps. Hello, Karen. So my question is, does everybody understand that, Section 2, what it does? It does not. You cannot make it harder for some people to vote than others. Okay. If anybody has any questions, you will tell me and I will speak to you. Hello, Tom McMurray. Hope you're feeling fantastic. So now, what SCOTUS did was, oh, let me just see here. Hold on a second. I'm trying to get really fancy here. What SCOTUS did was this. We're going to show this. Okay. They in a 6-3 decision, they just a little background. Louisiana had redistricted and in 2024, and it was challenged because what happened is that they said that 30% of Louisiana was African American. So they wanted an additional black district, all black district. Okay, so where the majority of people were black. So they drew this 6th congressional district that was like a long snake winding through to pick up a bunch of black neighborhoods, so that they could have 2 black districts in Louisiana to represent 30% of the black, the fact that 30% of the voters are black. So that was challenged. And when it was challenged, SCOTUS said that the Voting Rights Act, Section 2, was not about allowing for districts based on color or common language. The Voting Rights Act was, and I wanted to show you that, right? Okay, the Voting Rights Act was to make sure that nobody was disenfranchised from voting. So the majority reasoning, Alito wrote, Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act protects against vote dilution, but does not mandate proportional representation or require drawing additional majority minority districts in this case. Compliance with the Voting Rights Act cannot justify race-based districting that would otherwise violate the Constitution, which it does. The decision narrows but does not fully eliminate Section 2's application in redistricting, emphasizing that race cannot predominate unless strictly necessary. Justice Clarence Thomas concurred with Justice Neil Gorsuch, criticizing broader interpretations of Section 2 as leading to race-based districting. Dissents. So Kagan, joined by Sotomayor and Jackson, the 3 liberal justices argued the majority effectively rendered Section 2 of the VRA all but a dead letter, undermining Congress's intent to combat racial vote dilution. They said the ruling betrays the statute's purpose and will have far-reaching consequences for minority voting power nationwide. Implication: Louisiana must redraw its congressional map, likely reverting toward a version with only 1 majority black district, potentially helping Republicans ahead of future elections. The ruling weakens VRA protections in redistricting cases across the country and could encourage challenges to other majority minority districts. And it does not outright declare Section 2 unconstitutional, but significantly limits its use to justify race-conscious map drawing. Now, it's good to note that this is a major shift from the court's 2023 Allen versus Milligan decision in Alabama, which had required a second majority black district there. The full opinion is on the Supreme Court's website. Okay, so I hope that wasn't a lot of rigmarole for you. But it's important for us to understand what this means, okay? They were using the Voting Rights Act, the Section 2, and I say they, some states, in gerrymandering, saying that people needed to be represented by people who looked like them, spoke like them, but not who thought like them. Because when we vote on legislation, We don't judge it by skin color or the first language of our birth. When we vote on legislation, we vote on it based on intellectual ideology, people who think alike. And in a constitutional republic where a representative represents you, that doesn't necessarily mean that doesn't mean the color of your skin, because that would presume that all Black people think alike, all Italian people think alike, all white women think alike, although some of the awfuls do think alike. But you understand what I'm saying. So it's actually that is what's unconstitutional, because if you make a district because of how people look, but not how they think and not how their moral representation, then how do I send, what if I send a Black conservative in to vote for me? I'm not Black, but I voted for a Black conservative, and I do that all the time with Tim Scott. So he doesn't look like me. He's a man, first of all, and he's Black, second of all, but we think alike. Morally, ideologically speaking, he's my kind of guy. So he can truly represent me. Whereas Kamala Harris, Black woman, doesn't represent me at all. Or I mean, let's pick another. How about Elizabeth? What's her face? She doesn't represent me, Pocahontas, but we look alike. We're of almost the same age. We're of almost the same background, but ideologically, we are different. So she, Elizabeth Warren, could not represent me. I wouldn't pick her to represent me. So to say that we're going to draw districts based on how people look, that's fucking crazy. But they've been doing it for decades now. And finally, it's going to stop. Okay, so hi, Susan. Good to have you. Hi, Andrew Dorman. Good to have you. I voted for many Black candidates. Yes, because ideologically, you're the same, but skin color, you're not. So what is this whole bullshit that the Voting Rights Act says nothing about people being represented by the color of their skin? It's by their ideology. It's putting up somebody who shares your same moral compass, your same ideological thoughts, your same values. So, but of course, that's never, what the Democrats think. I just want to note that in the Supreme Court in New York, in New York 11 congressional district, Nicole Malliotakis, they tried to, a group, sued, saying that that her district did not represent, went against the Voting Rights Act, Section 2, because she wasn't Black. And they needed a district that was more representative of the minorities that lived in New York City. And that because it had all of Staten Island, it didn't represent that. And so the state Supreme Court actually agreed and was going to redraw the district where she would be into Manhattan. But when she appealed, there was a stay put on it. It was put on by the United States Supreme Court, put a stay based on the fact that you can't draw districts racially. But it gave New York an opportunity to look at the district again in the future. Now, why this is so significant is because, in essence, the 6-3 decision here actually interpreted Section 2 absolutely correctly, because I said it 3 times. You can't stop somebody from voting. It has to be even. whether the district is white, red, black, yellow, pink, orange, blue, gay, lesbian, trans, whatever. Everybody should be able to vote without interference. That's all the Voting Rights Act says. But if we want to go that further step and make it look like everybody, then that is unconstitutional, because you cannot do things based on the color of somebody's skin. Not good things and not bad things. And that's where I have been yelling for forever. But anyway, I want you to listen to the news, I think this is ABC News, bullshit news, and how they are portraying this. Listen.
The Supreme Court has just released a major decision which could have a profound impact on the midterm elections. The justices issuing a ruling on a case out of Louisiana involving the Voting Rights Act, redistricting, and whether states must end any consideration of race when redrawing congressional maps. The decision potentially reducing the influence of minority voters and minority representation in Congress. Let's get right to our senior Washington correspondent, Devin Dwyer, who covers the Supreme Court for us. Devin.
Kira, this decision is 6-3, written by Justice Samuel Alito, and it's a significant decision and a setback for the landmark Voting Rights Act of 1965, which was passed to guarantee equality in how we vote, and of course addressing the systemic and historic racial discrimination, especially across the South. This decision came in a case out of Louisiana involving a court-ordered drawing addition of a second majority black district in that state because of the size of the state's population. And the Supreme Court today, in this decision, said that the court violated the 14th Amendment by adding, the state rather, violated the 14th Amendment by adding that district. They used race impermissibly, consciously, to add a second district to aid those voters, and they said that is simply not allowed under our Constitution. Justice Samuel Alito didn't go as far as saying race can never be used in drawing these maps. That's something the court has affirmed before to comply with the Voting Rights Act, but he put a significant new limit on how courts can order states to draw their maps to be more equitable. He said that Section 2 imposes liability only when evidence supports a strong inference that the state intentionally drew its map to discriminate. So a setback for minority voters in Louisiana, and now, Kira, the impact of this decision is going to start to ripple across the country.
So they're saying it's a setback for minority voters. It is not a setback for minority voters. Let me just put it this way, and I know you have comments and I want to get to them, but let me just put it this way. My ideology does not jive with the ideology of New York, not even Staten Island anymore. Okay, my conservative ideology is so far out of sync with Staten Island and New York that I moved to a place where my ideology is shared with the people, with the residents who live there. So where I live is a very, very large Black population, South Carolina. But my ideology is the same as here. Up in New York, there's white, there's Black, there's Puerto Rican, there's Hispanic. In Staten Island, it's a majority white population. But they don't reflect my ideology as much as South Carolina does. Does that make sense? And do you see why? The only reason to consider drawing districts that are Black or Hispanic or, English as a second language is if the Elections Commission or whoever elects off, or whoever, or the state legislature is purposely trying to disenfranchise people based on the color of their skin. Then you have to draw the line to reincorporate those people, but not to just put all the black people together, all the Chinese people together, because that's unconstitutional. That's against the 14th Amendment. Okay, it's really crazy what they've been doing and pushing their insanity. They really have. Well, thank you, Ms. Maisie. I appreciate it. You always look marvelous. ABC is beyond biased, but the fact that they're reporting it that way, and they're not the only ones, and many, many others are. And whether they just didn't bother to read the Constitution, whether they didn't bother to read the VRA, I don't know. But it's clear. I mean, if reading comprehension isn't a problem for you, you should be able to understand that they had no choice but to go this way, SCOTUS. And if they went any other way, that would be unconstitutional. Thank God they did the right thing and the fake media sucks. Yeah, but that's not going to stop it from people from saying that all of a sudden SCOTUS is biased. So just to go through this quickly, the 14th Amendment is a cornerstone of the U.S. Constitution that granted citizenship to all persons born or naturalized in the U.S., including former slaves, guaranteed equal protection under law, and applied the Bill of Rights to state government. Citizenship clause overturned the Dred Scott decision, establishing that anyone born or naturalized in the U.S. is a citizen of the U.S. and the state, and they reside in privileges or immunities. Clause restricts states from making laws that abridge the privileges of immunities of Senate or immunities of citizens. Due process clause prohibits states from depriving any person of life, liberty, or property without legal procedure, using to apply the Bill of Rights to states. Equal protection clause mandates that states provide equal protection under the law to all people within their jurisdiction, forming the basis for major civil rights decisions. Apportionment of representatives, Section 2, changed representation rules, reducing the power of states that, quote, denied voting rights to male citizens. At this point, only male citizens were allowed to vote. Disqualification from office. All right, I could go on, but I won't, because I know that my voice can be annoying, especially when I get excited. So voting, that denied voting, not denied voting for, not ensured that you could vote for a person that has the skin color you have, or who came from another country that you came from. Denied voting. That's all. Prohibit anyone from denying a person to vote. Period. Most of the media wants socialism, communism, no ifs, ands, or buts. You are so very right, Jeff. So very right. Okay, so what do you think that the Democrats said about this?
Today's opinion is another devastating blow to fair elections in our country. And listen, this is what we know. Republicans are looking at the same polls that we are. They know they're losing, and they're going to use every tool they have to try and choose their voters instead of having voters choose them. So this is an extremely concerning opinion coming out of the Supreme Court. But we are going to continue every single day to use every tool we have to make sure that we have secure, fair districts and elections come this November.
So the litigation that led to this opinion was long running, not necessarily in this particular election cycle, but it could have implications for the handful of states that might attempt to redistrict as a result of today's ruling. Do you believe that in any way could tip the scales in the upcoming midterms?
Yeah, I mean, we are sitting in a minority in Congress right now because North Carolina took away 3 Democratic seats through gerrymandering in 2024. So we are very aware of the real world implications. But as we have said, if they are going to try and cheat to win this election, we're going to meet them in every single way we can. And so far, with their attempts to gerrymander their way into a majority, we've been able to do just that, whether it's our success in California, blocking them in Ohio, the most recent victory in Virginia. And the difference between Democrats and Republicans is Republicans do backdoor, backroom, last-minute deals. We go to the voters and let them decide. And that's exactly how we are going to continue to operate. And I can tell you the American people are with us, and it's why we're going to win in November.
Okay, so supposedly we are the bad guys. Okay, supposedly, we caused them to lose the majority in 2024 because of a redistricting. But they can do what they did in Virginia was okay. And what they're doing in California is okay. So this is, what's going to happen here. And it's just clear, especially now with this decision. If the Supreme Court has now removed that thought that you have to have representation that looks like you, or all the people of the same ethnic background all together, then everybody is going to be redistricting this year. And we're going to have North versus South. Simple as that. The blue states are going to get bluer and the red states are going to get redder. And there's nothing anybody can do about that. And this is really, really a problem for me. That this lady with the gray hair is nuts. Yes, she is. They all are. She thinks Republicans are stealing it the other way around. It is the other way around. They manufacture the voters. They do. They do manufacture the voters, and they use dark money from other countries when they do these votes. They are using money that does not come from here, but comes from the CCP. The Democrats fed bullshit to continue to cheat and lie. The leftist media also does. This is justifiable. Yeah, unjustifiable. Oh, no, this is justifiable. All right, but nobody's cheating. People, what's happening here is we're just following the Constitution. And I've been screaming this for forever. You cannot judge things on the color of people's skin, because good or bad, it is unconstitutional. I had to hear my Black friends, who were my friends for forever, all of a sudden tell me, when I never saw color and they never saw color, we just saw people we liked. Suddenly, somewhere around 2016, their Technicolor glasses came out, and all they saw was color. And what they saw with their Technicolor glasses was that we had to divide based on black, brown, yellow, and white. And we couldn't mix anymore. But ironically, most of them married to white people. So, not quite sure what the fuck went on from 2016 till now, but it looks like sanity is returning to government. Will Congress catch up? I don't know. But what I do know is that this is not a win for the Republicans. This is a win for the American people, because we won't have to be subject to the whim of one political party or another. And I mean the Republicans as well as the Democrats, to hold on to power. We should be able to vote. And I'm going to say it again and again and again and again. I just wish independents will, get in these races for Senate and for Congress, because I do believe that independents can win everything. I truly, truly do. We have a situation where we have a bunch of gullible people in this country, and they'll listen to anything. Here they're going to raise money on this too. Watch the Democrats raise money on this racist, bigoted. It's going to be a racist, bigoted Supreme Court. It was already a Supreme Court that hated women's rights, and now it's going to be a racist, bigoted Supreme Court. Mark my words. See if you see fundraising letters out there. That we've got to do something. We've got to pack the Supreme Court. We have to have the Democrats in office so that we could add more seats to the Supreme Court to take it back. Watch, you'll see. They're going to fundraise off of this. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight. I hope I wasn't too loud and excitable. I will see you tomorrow night. There's plenty going on, so there's always something to talk about. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on Rumble, subscribe to the channel. And if you miss it, tell your friends to watch us on Spotify. It goes up at about 9:30 every night on Spotify. Or if you miss, you can just, or if you're not able to make it, you can check us out on Spotify. Love you all. See you tomorrow.